Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you guys. So thank you for joining me today on Substack Live for one of the hottest book topics of the year, which is beach reads. How much do we love beach reads? I feel like Elin Hilderbrand is the queen of the beach reads, but you are the queen of beach read blogging. You've been doing it forever.
Yes, we've been doing our ultimate list of beach reads since 17.
So I started in 19. So we are OG bloggers. We have read hundreds, if not thousands of beach
Definitely
reads.
Thousands.
Yes. So I can tell people that we are in the thousands, combining all three of us. And the reason I wanted to do this as a panel with experts is because I feel like so many of my friends who are not in the book space, this is really their only time to read during the year. They're really busy moms and they're working, and it really is a lot of pressure to pick up that best beach read. And even for us too, I really put a lot of pressure around which books I bring to the beach. So I'm thrilled to have you guys here today. I'm Jules, and I'm the host of Friday Night Readers, which is basically a book club inspired by Gilmore Girls. I've been book blogging, as I said, since 2019. And I would consider myself to be a reader like Rory Gilmore, which is like literary.
I'm Kirsten, and this is Jackie.
Hi.
And we co-run Beyond the Bookends, which is a book blog. And we also this year launched the Red Carpet Report, which is our podcast.
I love what you guys have been doing with celebrity book clubs.
Celebrity book clubs are so much fun because there's so much variability in who chooses what and what kind of books are chosen and what books are chosen according to the season. So we have a really good time because Kirsten is extraordinary at finding out some of these picks early.
So we can tell you what to read and what to skip.
Exactly. And we have a few celebrity book club picks in our top 5 today, which is also going to be fun to talk about.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear for people who are joining what you specifically are doing for your Beach Reads Bonanza this particular year.
Beach Reads Bonanza is this fun collection of events, some in person locally and some virtually, where we invite readers to come and read a book along with us. And then we discuss the book with the author, which is a ton of fun. And we always choose it around our reading challenges, and that author comes on. So for instance, in July, we're reading Liberty Island by Virginia Hume because our prompt is books set in Maine. So it's all tied together and it just makes reading really fun.
And I will also note that what's great about your membership is you've had a lot of really big authors. And I know people are still reading The Correspondent and Broken Country, and you've had both of those authors. So people can go back over the summer to those author interviews as well. So before we move on, I'm wondering what Gilmore Girls character you think you read like.
I think I'm like a weirdo amalgamation of Lane and Rory and Lorelai.
Interesting. I was going to say, so I do know you guys pretty well in person. I was going to say a mix of Rory and Lorelai for you. I like that you added Lane, but I think that tracks because we've talked about a lot of music books together in the past.
Yeah, and I think she also is a little bit alternative. And so I think there's a bunch of some of the more dystopian fantasy. I just think I'm an amalgamation of all of them. I read across all genres. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a literary fiction and I'm like devouring it. And then the next day I'm reading like a fantasy romance.
Part of me thinks I'm a Rory because I do love my literary fiction. Part of me thinks that I am an Emily because I like to read what's popular.
Yes.
I like to know what everyone's talking about. I want to be reading that book. The number of times that people have talked to me about Yesteryear, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Jackie read it, and I'm like deeply upset. I think that part of me is very Emily, but probably I'm the most Lorelai, I would guess.
That's what I was going to say for you. But when you said Emily, it immediately clicked for me.
Yeah. I want to be able to have the chat. She wants to be talking about the hottest book, and I want to be reading the hottest book and talking about it too.
All right. So now that people know a little bit about how we read, let's talk about 5 beach reads that the three of us all agreed upon this year. And the way I'm thinking of it is a lot of people are looking to analog summers. So I'm considering this to be like if we lived in an analog summer like the Gilmore Girls around that time in the early aughts, put down your phones and pick up these books. These are the 5 books that the three of us agreed on so far. I have read all 5 of them, and then at least one of you has read them as well. So the first one I picked is my current read. I have about 1 hour on the audio left of it, and it is American Fantasy by Emma Straub. And I recommend this one for readers like Lane for millennial music lovers. So I'd love to hear why you guys put this on your beach reads list.
I think you are spot on for that because this spoke to my heart as a 40-year-old woman. I was like, I would like to go on a cruise with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Absolutely sign me up for this. Let me relive my childhood youth. And I feel like Lane would definitely connect with that. Imagine being stuck with all of these people that we idolized when we were young, and then you find out that they're just regular humans on this cruise ship.
You can't go wrong. Sat on a boat, sitting outside, reading in the summer.
Love the idea of thinking of them as regular people because I recently watched on HBO a documentary about boy bands. And I was thinking to myself, I know everything there already is to know about these boy bands. What is there for me to learn? But I saw that Joey Fatone was running it. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And the takeaway that I had from it, first of all, it did get into new stories. But my biggest takeaway was these really are just people because I never looked at them as just people when I was a teenager.
And since then, they've all had their drama. They've all had their issues. Some of them are still in the spotlight. Some of them aren't. But they're just regular people. And when you're a kid, you don't really understand the way that you idolize them. And then you look back as a 40-year-old, the kind of people that our kids love now. And I'm just like, that's just a normal person. It's interesting. And this book does a really good job.
So I brought this book to Disney. And as we mentioned earlier, it's really hard to pick a book to bring. And I thought this was the perfect book, even though Disney's not a cruise. It is a cruise. I wasn't on a cruise. But I thought it was perfect for Disney because you still have similar types of vibes when you're there. So we were there partially for a work conference for my husband. And then the last night we were free. So we went to Disney. And I found out that one of those nights when we were at the conference, 98 Degrees was performing at Disney. So
That's amazing.
So before we move on, if you were to go on an American fantasy, which boy band would you want to be on the cruise?
Well, I'm an NSYNC girl.
I'm in sync too. All right, so let's move on. The next pick is Go Gentle by Marie Semple, and she is the author of one of my favorite books, Where'd You Go, Bernadette? And I recommended this one to readers who are like Richard Gilmore, and I find him to be very thoughtful and philosophical. And this book is that, but it's also light. So why don't you guys take the lead and tell us what the book is about and why you picked it for a beach read?
So, first of all, I love Oprah for choosing a beach read. I think part of the reason Richard would have chosen this is because Oprah chose it, but also the main character is an in-house philosopher for a very rich family, right? Which to me, that in and of itself was so hilarious and quirky. But then it does go back and it talks about her life beforehand. She wrote for a comedy show. And so it talks a little bit about that and how she became the in-house philosopher. So I think that's why Oprah picked it, because it's not all light. There is some dark. So I think Richard would have read this. He would have been so excited.
There is some darkness in it. I thought it was handled lightly, and that's why it's still a beach read.
I think certain dark things, if they're handled in a way that's not making a mockery of it, right, is handled appropriately, but without making it overly emotional. Not that it's not an emotional thing, but it can be part of a story without being the entire part of the story is basically what I'm trying to say. And so I think there was a really good balance of saying, yes, things did happen, but look, we were able to figure it out and move on and gain great things from it. And so I think that's why it can be a beach read. And I love when a beach read does have some topics that are discussion worthy.
Good point. So it can be a good book club book for summer as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much to talk about. I loved this book. Some artwork and a little bit of a love story and a little bit of like comedy from the past, and it just all came together.
Oprah was like, I'm tired of always crying with these heavy books. I need something lighter.
Yes.
That's my theory.
Yes.
But we're glad she chose it.
So glad.
So let's move on to a book that I actually first heard about through you guys, I believe on your podcast, which is Strangers by Belle Burden. You said, oh, Strangers by Belle Burden. Everyone's talking about it. And I thought, I haven't even heard of this book. So I immediately went and looked it up. I saw that it was set on Martha's Vineyard, which is where I go every summer for a week with my husband's family. And of course, then I picked it up as well. And this is a memoir. I recommended it for readers like Emily Gilmore, who we talked about. So why did you guys put this one on your beach reads list?
More than even wanting to know what everyone else is talking about, Belle is a descendant of a Vanderbilt, which means she's from a very affluent family. And what happens over the course of her divorce from her husband is not typical for families of this status to publicly come out and tell. So, if anything, it's like reading a giant page 6 about one exclusive family, and it is salacious. And I think that's why anyone like an Emily is going to want to be in on it, because she probably knows someone's seventh cousin who was related to this woman. And in our area, it was the hot topic because she has some ties to this area. And so everyone was talking about this. Now, of course, it's being adapted and Gwyneth Paltrow is going to play it. It is this tragic divorce marriage story of a woman who was completely blindsided by the fact that her husband was having an affair and is going to leave her. And that happens in the opening chapter. And she's then looking back on her marriage, looking for the signs that he was unhappy or that this was ever going to happen to her. She does it with grace. It's absolutely a lesson to everyone to be involved and understand what's going on in your marriage. It can happen to anybody.
But you also said she never badmouthed him.
She didn't. She handled it so well, but there was the rollout of what happens with their friend group, what happens at the country club, who gets ownership of this and who gets ownership of that. There was a lot to think about. And it was wonderful that she was willing to open up and tell everybody this, knowing who she is. I still can't believe that she wrote this book.
Yeah, I think you touched on one of the two big things of why I think it became such a hit, the salaciousness and the rich descendants. And it's like, it really does give you that peek behind the scenes that you really don't see. For me, I'm an Enneagram 6, which is a very anxious personality type or motivated by fear. And to me, when I read this, it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that this is something that I need to worry about. And now I need to worry about like this coming out of nowhere. So for me, that was what really kept me turning the pages.
It is really well written, but it's a lesson in how much did you give up? She gave up a lot early in her marriage. I kind of hope everyone, before they get married, reads it because it will set you up. Just protecting yourself. Be careful.
I think you're right about that. That is the takeaway. A lot of people have been criticizing whether she should have written it or not. I thought it was beautifully written. Like you said, I didn't think it was bad mouthing or anything. I think it was just like, this is my story and I have a right to process my feelings. It's not just for the sake of salaciousness. There is something that women can take from this.
Yes. And I've had women of all generations talk to me about this book. And they're all saying, I think every young girl should read this, especially women who are, I would say, of a certain age. They are looking back like we were stuck in this trap and it was very taboo to talk about. And I think most women who have been through this or who've had friends go through this are really happy that this story is out there and people are forewarned.
All right. So let's move on to a lighter book from one of our favorite authors, Summer State of Mind by Kristy, Woodson,
Yes.
Harvey.
The best.
Oh, I love her and I love her books. I've read every one of the summer books and they just make me feel so good. And this one is no exception.
Kristy is the queen of Southern summer fiction.
I would recommend it to people who are like Lorelai or Sookie. There is a small town mom thread in this book. And for people who like their hearts warmed. So this is for people who want that Hallmark feel on the beach.
Yeah. And this is a fantastic one because if you've read Under the Southern Sky, there are some of the characters from that book are now the center of this. And it is a love story. It is sweet. It's a small town of people coming together and supporting each other. And there are, again, some heavier topics. Mason is the town baseball coach. He's beloved. He finds a baby in the dumpster. Daisy is a nurse who's moved there, and she's the nurse who is working when they bring in the baby. So it's trying to find the baby's parents, and then it's their relationship and his family, and it's written as only Kristy can do.
Agree. And one of the things that I loved the most that is different than the other books on our list is that I believe he had an aunt. I don't believe it was his grandmother. I believe it was his aunt, but she reminded me of Miss Patty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what? Now that you say it, I didn't even think about that. But yes, I totally agree.
So it has some Gilmore Girls in the South vibes.
Yes, 100% Gilmore Girls in the South.
And Kristy's one of the authors that we've interviewed. The ending is going to always be happy. And she always sticks to that. And so no matter what kind of muck or mire you're going through to get there, you know it's going to end and you're going to be like, yes, that's what I wanted to have happen.
Right.
I think that's key for a beach read.
100%. And some people are like, it was predictable. And what she said, I've been reading books with a new eye and a new lens ever since she said that, because she said readers don't want to have that contract broken. If you are reading a book that is a summer book, it's a beach read, it has to have a certain ending. And if it's not, that's fine, but then it's not a beach read.
And there's different times and places for different books. And there are many times in our lives that we do want to know that happy ending is coming. And I think that's part of the reason why I really took to this one. I've read a lot of her books, and this may be my favorite because the time and place I read it was in the middle of winter, and I was on a work trip with my husband where we were in a really bad hotel and it was freezing cold and everyone was unhappy. They weren't cleaning the rooms and nothing was happening. And this book was my one escape from that bad time in my life.
And it's a balm for the soul. And certain books are supposed to be that way.
So let's move on to a real doozy of a book, but it is the hottest book of the year, Yesteryear by Caro Burke. I said this is really good for Rory because she likes feminist books. So tell us what you think about the book everyone's talking about.
So this is really upsetting to me because I agree that this should be on this list, but this is where my Emily is coming out. I have not had time to read it because a lot of times one of us will read it and the other person will not. And this is one that I must read, and I feel very left out of the conversation and I don't like it.
Except for that, I feel like you do know everything because I actually have a full summary of this on the website. And so the entire time I was reading it, I kept calling her.
So you know the ending?
Yeah, I know it all. That won't ruin the reading experience for me.
Sometimes I actually feel like I can enjoy the book more if I know the ending. I need to look at the end because if the ending is really bad and I now read an entire book and I get there and it's bad, I'm going to be mad. Whereas if I'm prepared for that bad ending, I might actually enjoy the book more. Yesteryear, for anyone that does not know, is about a woman, and she is an influencer. She has millions of followers. She is married to a man whose father is a senator. He keeps wanting to run for president, and she has a bunch of children and her yesteryear farm or ranch, and she wakes up one morning and she's in the 1800s. And so now she actually has to live the life that she has been pretending to live because she has somebody that's in production and doing this for her and that for her and nannies that nobody can see. And now she has to actually live the life. She wakes up, it's the husband who's like her husband, but not her husband. The kids who are like her kids, they're not her kids. And then it goes back and forth, a dual timeline, viewing the past and where she was in the present. And it is a doozy.
And everyone's talking about it. When I was in Orlando last week, this was the book that when I was introducing myself to people at my husband's conference, like this is the book that everyone was talking about. I think it's been number one for quite some time and selling like crazy. And I think that it's had some love and hate reactions to it. When a book is like that, I just sit in the middle and listen to both sides. I don't always take a side. For me, your summary helped me so much, first of all, because I did an audio at 2.0 speed, and that's what I always do. But for this book, I don't think you can do it at 2.0 speed because it moves so fast. And I think that's the reason I struggled with the plot. So I used your summary almost to slow me down and think about the details. And so my recommendation would be for people to pick it up. I think it doesn't matter whether you love or hate it because it's one of those books where you want to be part of the conversation. And I would recommend doing it in print or digital.
I also think, though, this is a really important conversation because it really highlights, as a society, what are we putting value in? Highlighting that what on Instagram is not always reality. And I think people don't realize that. Just like you were saying before, how, oh my goodness, these boy bands, they were real people. These influencers on Instagram, you're only seeing what they want you to see. You're not seeing the reality, and seeing her decline into this obsession with her Instagram account was very eye-opening.
Yes, I'm going to have a Substack post that accompanies this. And I did did link your summary in case anyone wants to go back and use that the way I did. And you have every detail in there. This is a detailed summary.
Thank you for noticing. It took me a long time because as I was doing it, I was picking up on some details from earlier on. And I actually felt like it really helped me to get a hold of the book and understand it in a different way. And it's even better written than I think I even realized at first when I was going back and looking at the small details.
Yes, I could tell that. I had texted you about it, and I could tell that doing the summary changed how you felt about the book. Do you think this will be the book of the year?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Anne Hathaway got the adaptation rights to it, and she's having her own moment this year. And I think that conversation is going to just keep sticking with her. I think this is going to be the book club book of the year.
And I don't think it was necessarily my favorite, but it's definitely the one that is going to spark the most conversation.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. So those are our 5 main picks that we all agreed on. And then I want to do a speed round because I know that you guys have another list coming up with summer new releases. I also know a lot of readers like to go to Backlist during the summer where you can grab a paperback or go to the library. So we're going to do a speed round with some new and some upcoming and some old books. So we have 5 really quick questions. And my first one is, Jackie, what is your favorite Backlist beach read?
Okay, so I picked a Kristy Woodson Harvey and I picked The Summer of Songbirds. This book to me was so nostalgic. It is about these women who met at camp when they were, I think, 6 or 8 years old, and they're coming back together to try and save the camp. And they do each other's hard things, which is something that Kirsten and I talk about all the time when we're doing on the blog. Certain things she hates doing, and I'm like, it's not a problem. I'll do them, and vice versa. So this book really spoke to me. It's set at camp.
For anyone who doesn't know, Kirsten met her husband at camp.
I did. Yep. And my kids go to the same camp now. So it's all full circle.
Yeah, this totally tracks for you. So, Kirsten, what is your favorite Backlist beach read?
These Summer Storms by Sarah MacLean. It's set on a remote island that's privately owned by someone in New England. And this billionaire has died, and he's left his 4 children their inheritance. But in order to get it, they all have to complete a different task. There's a romance element to it. The female in charge, she's estranged from the family. So her task is to show up and stay there for the full week and survive the week with her family. And her brother's is the best one. He can only speak on the odd hours, which I think is hilarious. There's a romantic element to it. It's like We Were Liars, but a lighter version.
This is a great summer book. And I think it came out last year, which means paperback will be out now. And it really was one of the hit books of last summer. I agree with both of those. I read both of those and loved both of them. So now I know you have your anticipated beach reads coming up. Jackie, which is one that's coming up soon that you are most looking forward to?
This was so hard to pick.
Just one.
So I chose Kathleen Rooney. She wrote Man Overboard, and she wrote Lillian Boxfish Takes a Walk. And this is about a man who is thrown overboard or fell or jumped, we're not sure, from a cruise ship and is now in the middle of the ocean until someone can come and rescue him. And he's thinking about all the things in his life. And this sounds weird and quirky, and I love Lillian Boxfish, so I'm very excited to read this one. I can't wait.
So I hadn't even heard of this one, but it sounds really good because I also liked Lillian Boxfish, which is basically a woman in New York, an older woman, New Year's Eve, and she's walking around town, and it's just like a day in the life, and she goes through her life. I always say that it reminds me of Mrs. Dalloway, which is actually, I think, the top picked book in our book club this month. And Rory Gilmore read this. She had it open on the couch at her grandparents' house, and her mom and her grandmother were fighting, and she was just in the middle reading Mrs. Dalloway. And a lot of readers picked that up this month. So I think that if you like Mrs. Dalloway, if you like Lillian Boxfish, then this would be a good one to pick up. So now it's on my radar because I enjoyed both of those.
I hope it's great because I love her writing.
So Kirsten, what book are you anticipating?
Mine is the new Jane Jackson. So she wrote Pineapple Street, and I absolutely loved it. It was about an outsider, a woman who married into this very wealthy family and is trying to find her footing amongst the family. So this is similar. It's called the Shampoo Effect. And it's about a woman who moves to this beachy town, infiltrates a group of friends, falls in love with one of them. They go on, they're living their lives together. And then she finds out that he impregnated a different one of their friends. She's cast out of the group because they've grown up together and she was the newest one. And in a fit of fury, starts spilling all of their secrets and has all of these repercussions that happen. And it just sounds totally up my alley.
Yeah.
A perfect beach read. I'm looking forward to reading this one this summer by the pool.
So funnily enough, this is also my most anticipated book for June, but I did not even know the plot. It's just because I really love Pineapple Street.
I had to look up the plot before this because I was like, I know that I picked it. I know that I really want to read it. I love the cover. Why do I want to read it? I don't even remember.
We have to talk about the queen of the beach reads, Elin Hilderbrand. She is a Nantucket author who is known for all of her beach reads. And I love this because Emily Gilmore now lives on Nantucket. So
Yep.
I've read most of her books, but if you guys can only recommend one Elin Hilderbrand out of her entire catalog of amazing beach reads, which one would you choose?
We chose 5-Star Weekend because it is coming out and it is going to star Jennifer Garner. I love Jennifer Garner so much. We just think it's always good to read the book before you see it on the screen.
But I think with 5-Star Weekend, the fact that it's about these friends, the concept is this woman who's recently widowed, I believe, has each of her best friends from different points in her life come for a weekend, and she wants to plan all of these lovely events for them. Picture her as a Martha Stewart type character. And obviously everyone's got secrets, all the kind of stuff is coming out. But I just love the idea of a weekend getaway in Nantucket. And it's just lovely. It's a short amount of time and it's about friendships and it would be a really good book club book. I just think it's great.
And the book club can watch the adaptation with it.
And I think that's really fun. It should be an incredible adaptation.
I love the Perfect Couple adaptation last year. So my hopes are high.
Yes, that one was great.
So before we go, where can everyone find you guys?
So you can find us on YouTube. It is the Red Carpet Report. You can find us on Instagram at Beyond the Bookends, and you can find us online at Beyond the Bookends.
Or
Yeah,
on
and-
Apple Podcasts or Spotify as the Red Carpet Report.
Yeah, you guys are great on the podcast. You bring so much joy to my Thursdays.
Oh,
We talked about 10 beach reads, and we hope that everyone can find one or two of those. Make the best your one wild and precious summer. It's so important. And I think we've really narrowed it down for people to choose from. They're all bangers.
Yes. Can't go wrong with any of them.
All right. So happy almost summer to everyone. Thank you for being here.
Bye,
Bye.
Jules.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Friday Night Readers. I love having you here in our little corner of the Gilmore Girls world. If you'd like even more feel-good fun, then upgrade to a free or paid email subscription membership at FridayNightReaders.substack.com. Paid members get exclusive extras like the books on Gilmore Girls, broken down by episode. You'll also unlock members-only posts, as well as full community access to our chats. It's the coziest virtual place like Stars Hollow, and your support helps keep this podcast going strong. Lastly, if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a minute to rate and review the show. It helps other Gilmore fans find us, which helps me provide you with more content like this. Until next time, life's short, read fast,